What if I told you that Jesus' very first public miracle wasn't healing the sick, raising the dead, or calming a storm? Instead, it happened at a wedding. A joyful celebration suddenly faced an embarrassing disaster. The wine had run out, and in first-century Jewish culture, this wasn't just an inconvenience, it was a public humiliation that could follow a family for years. Yet in that moment, Jesus quietly performed a miracle so extraordinary that it revealed who he truly was. He transformed ordinary water into the finest wine anyone at the wedding had ever tasted. But why did Jesus choose this miracle to begin his ministry? And what hidden message does it still hold for us today? Let's step back nearly 2,000 years and witness the unforgettable moment when heaven touched earth at a wedding in Cana. The story begins in the small village of Cana, nestled among the rolling hills of Galilee. The air is alive with music, laughter, and celebration. Friends and families have gathered for a Jewish wedding feast, a joyful event that often lasted an entire week.
And with you.
Unlike modern weddings, these celebrations were community events. Every guest shared in the joy of the bride and groom. Among those attending were Jesus, his mother Mary, and his newly chosen disciples. At this point, Jesus had not yet performed any public miracles. Most people at the wedding simply knew him as the carpenter from Nazareth. No one imagined that history was about to change. As the celebration continued, servants carried food and cups from table to table. Everything seemed perfect, until disaster struck. The wine was gone. For the host family, this was more than a shortage of refreshments. It was a social catastrophe. Running out of wine before the celebration ended could bring lasting shame upon the family. The joyful atmosphere was moments away from turning into embarrassment. Only one person seemed to recognize the seriousness of the situation: Mary. Mary quietly approached Jesus. She didn't ask for a miracle, she simply said, "They have no more wine." Those 4 simple words carried enormous trust. Mary knew something others did not. She had witnessed God's hand in Jesus' life from the very beginning. Jesus replied, "Woman, why do you involve me? My hour has not yet come." At first, these words may sound distant, but in Jewish culture, this was a respectful expression, not an insult. Jesus was gently explaining that his divine mission followed God's perfect timing. Yet Mary never argued. She never pleaded. Instead, she turned to the servants and spoke one of the most powerful sentences recorded in Scripture: "Do whatever he tells you." Those 5 words remain timeless advice for every believer. Trust him, obey him, even when you don't understand. Nearby stood 6 large stone jars. These weren't ordinary containers. They were used for ceremonial washing according to Jewish purification customs. Each jar could hold between 20 and 30 gallons. Together, they contained nearly 150 gallons. Jesus looked at the servants and gave a surprising command: "Fill the jars with water." No explanation, no dramatic speech, just obedience. The servants filled every jar to the very top. Not halfway, not almost full, completely full. Then Jesus said, "Now draw some out and take it to the master of the banquet." Imagine being one of those servants. Only moments earlier, you had poured ordinary water into the jars. Now you were carrying a cup toward the banquet master. There was no visible flash of light, no thunder from heaven, no dramatic announcement. Somewhere between the jars and the cup, the impossible happened. Water became wine.
The banquet mastered the cup. He tasted it. His eyes widened in amazement. This wasn't merely wine. It was exceptional. The finest wine served that entire week. Calling the bridegroom aside, he exclaimed, "Everyone brings out the choice wine first, and then the cheaper wine after the guests have had plenty to drink. But you have saved the best until now." The bridegroom had no idea what had happened. The guests remained unaware. Only the servants, the disciples, and Mary knew the truth.
Without seeking attention, Jesus had performed his vows. No applause, no announcement, only divine compassion meeting human need. This miracle was about far more than wine. The water represented the old system of ceremonial cleansing. The wine symbolized the new covenant Jesus came to establish.
The 6 stone jars pointed toward humanity's constant search for purification.
But Jesus was revealing something greater. External rituals could never fully cleanse the human heart. Only He could bring true transformation.
Notice something remarkable. Jesus didn't improve the old wine. He created something entirely new. This reflects God's work in every believer. He doesn't simply repair broken lives, He transforms them. Just as ordinary water became extraordinary wine, ordinary people can become new creations through Christ.
Why begin His ministry at a wedding? Because weddings celebrate covenant, love, joy, and new beginnings. By performing His first miracle at a wedding feast, Jesus was pointing toward the ultimate celebration between God and humanity. The abundance of wine also revealed God's generous nature. Jesus didn't create just enough. He created far more than anyone expected. The miracle reminds us that God's blessings are never limited by human calculations. His grace is abundant. His provision is overflowing. His timing is perfect. Why begin His ministry at a wedding? Because weddings celebrate covenant, love, joy, and new beginnings. Throughout the Bible, God's relationship with His people is often compared to a marriage. By performing His first miracle at a wedding feast, Jesus was pointing toward the ultimate celebration between God and humanity. The abundance of wine also revealed God's generous nature. Jesus didn't create just enough. He created far more than anyone expected. The miracle reminds us that God's blessings are never limited by human calculations. His grace is abundant. His provision is overflowing. His timing is perfect.